you have to announce that it's going to be a women's match.
The following match will be a women's match. They cheer and then they leave to the bathroom.
That's how you get
Or
them out.
maybe they give some woof whistles occasionally. Yeah, there's a bit of that usually when you say women's match.
Ow, ow!
What is wrestling to me? That's the hardest
You
question.
just started with the hardest.
That's life. Wrestling is life.
Yeah.
Right?
Wrestling to me it's literally everything.
I know it sounds cliche, hey? It means everything. But it does.
It is. It's like our whole lives.
It's like every second of every day.
It's my top priority. It's my number one thought. It's the thing I wake up. Oh, my poor husband. It's the thing I wake up and think about constantly.
Literally putting myself in a different world every time I'm in the ring.
Wrestling kind of becomes home. Everything becomes really natural and it kind of becomes your safety zone, I guess, in life, because everything that is happening in your reality doesn't exist in wrestling.
I started when I was 17.
Yeah,
and
I
I've been
started when
doing
I was
it
19,
for
so-
almost 19 years now.
Yeah, I've been here for 12 years. This is 12 years. So yeah, like our entire who we are as adults. Crap.
Wrestling is magic. You know, it's just a form of everything that I love to do. You know, it's physical, it's acting, it's a world, a magical world. So wrestling is magic.
But trying to explain to like a normal person why you want to get hit by a guy, why you want to pretend to be someone that you're not that you aren't every day, or why you want to kind of put your body through it because it's fake.
What do you do? What do people do that aren't wrestlers?
Aren't wrestlers.
I don't know.
Right before I'm about to go out onto the stage, I'm like, this is it. This is my last match. I'm tiring after this. I can't deal with the pressure. Like, the nerves just get to me so much. And then you get out there and you get to the ring and you're like, oh, no, I actually really love this. I have fun wrestling.
For me, I need wrestling because it is my outlet to express myself in a world where we're not necessarily always allowed to express ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I would never have thought that I could main event 4 times over one weekend. Like it should, like on any shows, main event 4 times over one weekend when I started wrestling, and I was a popcorn match, which means everyone goes and gets their food when my match is
They
on.
get their popcorn.
Yeah. Women's wrestling was just women's wrestling. It was the toilet break, as everyone wants to say.
When I went to WrestleMania 28, I remember the women's match coming on and an arena of 70,000 people emptied. And this was when I was like just started wrestling. I was like, oh, cool. So if I do ever make it, this is what I'm aiming for.
I would say PWA's women's roster kind of set the benchmark of we're not here to fuck around. We're not here just to give you a slap and a bit of a bulldog through the ring.
When I started, it was like, you sort of learn all the basic wrestling, but then it was like, here's your girl moves.
Yep.
And you had a set of women's moves that you did, like
Here's
the
your X
hair,
Factor, your hair
the your
Bulldog.
X Factor, bulldog. Like there was certain moves that
With
were
press.
girl moves that you learnt. And the first women's all women's show we ran in Australia, it was every match was almost the exact same move set in every match, because
That's what
what all the girls were taught.
We actually want to wrestle.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of kicked everyone up the bum a little bit to be like, oh, maybe we are actually going to watch, and maybe they can actually do what they say they can do without having to pull each other's hair and take each other's clothes off.
But now it's different when we're especially when we're coaching and stuff like that. It's not about that anymore at all. We go in and we coach and we're like, okay, we're looking at your size and we're teaching size moves, not what's between your legs moves.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a big difference between men's wrestling and women's wrestling. Like, I don't like to see it as that personally.
Yeah.
I just like to see it as wrestling altogether. Like, I don't know. There's men's swimming, there's female swimming, but most of the time you just call it swimming, don't you?
Yeah, it's just wrestling. Boys can do what we can do, and the girls can do what the boys can do.
You don't have to fight for it. You don't have to fight to be treated like an equal. It's you show up, you're an equal, and you get trained and you get treated the exact same as everyone.
And then that's where you just have to focus on that.
Exactly.
You don't have to focus on the other part of it.
At training, the boys hit us, we hit the boys. It's you get in the ring. If it's a guy or a girl, doesn't really make much of a difference.
When I first turned up to my first training school that I went to, I was like, oh, I'm going to be a wrestler. But I turned up and they were like, oh, so are you gonna be a manager? I'm like, no. So that was me trying to, do that. I'm going to prove I'm going to be a wrestler, like not just a female wrestler.
Yeah.
I want to be a wrestler.
I think my views on intergender wrestling are pretty obvious. Like, I do it quite often, and I am like the PWA champion, which is now an intergender title. So I think it's fairly obvious I'm 100% okay with intergender wrestling. Like, it's just the way I've been brought up, basically.
The one thing about intergender wrestling that I don't understand is if we're okay with it, why is there a small minority that isn't?
We don't get any people going, oh my gosh, domestic violence or anything like that.
No, that's a lie. That one time.
Yeah, that one time that
I
you
wrestled
beat
Jude.
Yeah,
And they complained
they did.
that I beat him up way too much.
You did beat him up a lot that time.
And I got in trouble
You did get
for the
in
domestic
trouble.
violence
Yes.
complaint on that one.
There's about 10 girls at PWA now.
Yeah.
There's 50 guys. If we're going to continuously wrestle the same 10 girls, yeah, we're going to get better. But we're not going to be the best that we can be.
I even noticed with the girls that are coming through now, like they get so much better so much quicker because they have all these different circumstances that they get to be thrown into that like just weren't an option for me. There's only so much you can creatively and mentally and physically challenge yourself if you're wrestling the exact same
Same
thing.
person.
Yeah,
the
person
exact same
over and over
people,
again.
Yeah.
Intergender wrestling betters everyone.
Yeah.
And it gives everyone a better opportunity to just expand and better your craft.
I just like to wrestle. Just like any other sport, you don't go in being like, I'm going to be a female so-and-so. I'm going to be a female tennis player. Or,
Yeah.
you just want to go and you want to be
A tennis
that.
player.
Yeah. You want to be that athlete.
Like, I think no matter what kind of sport you're in, as long as you can have the impact on your audience that they take away from, oh, it's not just because she's a female, but she has the ability to do what she does just because she's that good. As long as that happens, we're winning.
With the whole damned if you do, damned if you don't, you know what? You should smile more. But don't smile at strangers.
Yeah.
Okay? You know what? Put more makeup on so you look pretty. But
But
look
not too
natural.
much.
Look
Yeah.
natural,
Yeah.
okay? You should lose some weight, but don't look, you know what? You look
Yeah.
too skinny now.
It's
Everything. Everything is a problem for everyone.
There's no
You know,
winning.
no.
You'll never make everyone happy.
I don't understand what the fans want sometimes. They say someone's really strong, like you have Madison Eagles. They say something like, oh, you have a dick. But then you have someone small and they're like, oh, you're too weak, you can't wrestle a boy. Like, what do you want then? Do you want the perfect in-between? Because that doesn't exist.
Yeah. I actually don't care about those. The ones I care about more are the ones that time when we had when I entered the ring in Queensland,
Yeah.
and it was one person started the chant "Tits out for the boys."
Yeah.
They're the ones I'm actually more
That's-
offended
yeah.
by.
I agree. Like, I get a lot more offended by any, like, sexualized comments. Like, I remember one time me and Jessie McKay were wrestling and people started chanting brazers at us.
Like, I'm sure there's some guys in the locker room who do get the weird comments and all that, but I feel like a lot of the girls get some weird DMs and weird
Like, you
comments.
have weird fans.
Weird
like,
fans.
you have weird fans that ask for weird things that realistically shouldn't be asked for. But it's so normal in wrestling for it to be asked for.
I don't like when guys feel like they can say that to women in general, because it's
Yeah.
just not okay in any way, any situation whatsoever. Like, I understand that if you want to be like, but it's wrestling, but it's just inappropriate
Yeah.
at all times.
I've had, the worst I've had is someone ask me for my used underwear, and I'm like,
Oh, me too!
The photos that we post on the internet, we have to crop out our feet. Like, that is an actual thing that I do when I post a photo. Like,
Check other friends'
like,
pictures.
check-
Be like,
check-
oh, your feet are in those pictures.
Like, I'm sure by the time we've told them, they've already been tagged in one of the
My feet
the
are in
feet
these.
posts by some. Like, it's like that's not something a normal person has to think about.
Those weird fans, they're like, towards the men, they're like, I want to be like you.
yeah,
But towards the women, they're like, you're like a thing
you're
that I
an
can get.
object.
Yeah.
You're like a trophy that sits on it.
Yeah, yeah.
The reality of being a pro wrestler, female pro wrestler. Wake up, look at Twitter, look at your hate mail, look at how much people hate you.
They hate us so much.
Oh, I've just given up on Twitter.
Same. It's just like, guys, if you don't like something, it's almost like you don't have to tell everyone that you don't like it.
Yeah.
Just let people enjoy it.
Yeah.
If you don't like intergender wrestling, you can just not watch it, really.
Yeah.
You don't have to put your opinion on the internet to see and like degrade people while you do it. It's just so unnecessary.
You're a trash wrestler. You look like crap. You're too tall. You're too short. You know what? We've thought these things a billion times and more things that you're not even thinking of. So you think you're saying something new and creative. You're not. You're not. Because we've all thought this to ourselves.
It's just hard to be nice to yourself sometimes. So especially in a harsh industry like wrestling. So
When I like to talk very publicly about my struggles with depression and anxiety because there's this idea that we're not human and that we should just be able to, like, people should just be able to say whatever they want to us and that we should somehow just ignore it. And we try, but there's always going to be little bits and pieces that get in, and if you don't have a good support system and you're not aware of what's going on, it can be really easy to have it control you. Have you ever experienced anything inappropriate from a fan?
Oh my goodness! One time when I was wrestling, when I was much younger, I was like going around the fans. I was doing my entrance, and I was like, "Yeah, like, whoa, let's slap hands." And one guy just reached over and grabbed my tits.
Jesus!
And I was so shocked. And I was just like, and then he just ran away. I was like,
It was either you or Belle. I was wrestling and I was on the ropes. And at these shows, the fans are right against the ring. But then I was leaning against the ropes with my back on the ropes, and this guy just grabbed my butt full on. And I was like, what? I turned around and I just pushed him away from me. I just forgot about what I was doing. Belle was up. I should have been fighting Belle, but I was literally like pushing this guy away from me and telling him not to touch me.
And you don't know how to...
oh, because I was only
Yeah.
like 19,
Yeah.
maybe. I didn't even see his face.
The little touches that obviously you don't want, and just like hugging when, like, just don't want to be hugged, really. Like, I know that might sound a bit cold-hearted, but sometimes you just don't want to be touched.
Yeah, and that's why when you're a female wrestler, we teach like don't
there's a
touch
lean
us. Like
in.
we have to have our own space, and it's just creating our own space because sometimes when space gets invaded, and it's just like anyone. You want to have your own little personal space.
You don't want
you don't always want to be hugged or touched or cuddled, and I think that's just an everyone sort of thing.
Yeah. Like, you wouldn't walk down the street, meet a stranger, and be like...
I've been sent very inappropriate messages, pictures, videos, everything. So it's not fun. Please don't do that to anyone. I don't know why someone would think they should send a picture of themselves or an inappropriate message to someone who has never talked to them, has never expressed any interest in someone.
Yeah.
Because obviously wrestlers, if you send an inappropriate message to someone, they're going to show it around backstage. Like, everyone has seen your dick pic. Everyone.
Like, we're performers and they're fans, I think that kind of blurs the lines a little bit. Like, they just forget that we are also people. Like, some things, like, things do make us uncomfortable. Like, and it's okay for us to go, no.
And they're like, I paid money for this show. I'm going to do what I want. I'm paying you.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's like, no.
Not
Without being like,
Without
hey,
being
don't
like,
touch me.
yeah.
We don't want to be rude
Yeah, we're
or
not
anything.
being rude, like, because I'm not sure. I don't think people are trying necessarily to do anything. It's just that we're not comfortable being hugged by strangers.
By 100 people.
Yeah.
After a show.
Ever experienced anything inappropriate from another worker?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I actually have.
Yes.
Yes. Lots.
So in my very, I think it was the first year of wrestling, there was this one international that I've met previously on the other shows. And, we've always gotten along and all that. But the second time I was there, I was helping them with their merch. And it was nice, caught up with them. How's your life? How's your day? Just normal stuff like that, as I would have a conversation with Frankie or Charles or whatever. Everyone left the room after merch was done, and then they turned to me and they go, so, do you want to see my dick? And I go, no, I don't want to see your dick. My boyfriend is literally downstairs playing a match, and I'm going to tell him everything you just said now. So, please don't do that. I'm going to leave. And he goes, okay, no worries. He gets his phone out and then turns to me and he flashes me a picture of him in a bathtub with his dick out. And I go, okay, no, first of all, my boyfriend's dick is bigger than yours. Second of all, go fuck yourself. Yeah, that was a very confronting experience because it was from a person that I didn't think would do something like that. And I told Frankie, and I told Xena, I told Madison Eagles, and I think Madison just collectively said, you know what, no girls allowed near him if he's booked again, just stay away from him, just he's bad news.
Before I even got on a show, I had a promoter message me. First he was like nice about it. He's like, are you working on your gimmick? Do you need help? And I'm like, oh, like, you know, it's a work in progress. I'll like learn as I go. And then he's like, oh, I can give you a spot on my show, like, if you give me something in exchange. And I'm like, what? He's like, sex, ha, 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 ha. And I'm like, I'm fine, thank you.
It just made me realize, like, how naive I was as a girl in wrestling, just thinking, like, oh, everyone's my friend, you know, this person's so nice. And then someone who was actually nice did that. So, yeah, that sucked.
Shazza found out and she dragged the promoter. He came and apologized to me. She was like, you're fine, we know you're strong, you can handle it, but what if he does it to someone else?
Any of like newer girls,
Yeah.
like imagine someone like that.
Yeah.
It would like, and then they think, oh, maybe that's what every promoter's like, and then they might leave wrestling. That's happened before. Like girls will literally leave and stop training because of an experience like this. So.
I, like Kingsley, I was very naive, and it was before I had even come to PWA really, so I had no support system. I didn't have anyone kind of showing me the ropes. Again, I was interstate, and we were at like a showcase, and anyway, the show had finished, and me just being there, I wasn't prepared to be in the ring at all or just be around the ring. I had purely gone to watch. But the trainer at the time wanted to run a little training session about certain pins and used me as sort of like a bump dummy, and that was fine. It was nothing out of normal. But then in front of the whole Supernova crowd, and you can tell that's a lot of people, had a really tight schoolboy. And, you know, a schoolboy you hold for 3 seconds at max, but held mine for about 10. And just perched right up there. So I'm sitting there on my back. And he's super heavy. And I couldn't move. I'm just sitting there with, like, my legs pinned above my head. And as soon as that happened, I left. I was like, it may not be inappropriate to him, but that made me feel really shit. I was like, this is not cool. I was like, tried to kick out, couldn't kick out. Like, it was shoot schoolboy, and I couldn't move. And then I guess from that day, I've never seen that person again.
I love Shazza. She's like someone I look up to too because she has balls. Like she went and done that when no one else done that.
Yeah, she'll handle some things. Like she'll take care of things.
Yeah.
So I have a story that I guess is like well known in the Australian community of when I was it was my first year of wrestling, and a wrestling veteran from the 70s inappropriately groped me in a locker room. And the reason I shared that story wasn't even primarily because of what he had done. My bigger issue in that situation was the reaction of the locker room, and the fact that no one was willing to stand up to this person because of their stature in the locker room. Like, the incident itself messed up and completely fucked up, but I think I was more upset with the reaction, and as I told the story over the years, the reaction of it became a joke amongst the guys, until I was like, hey
That's
guys,
not funny.
this isn't actually a funny thing.
Yeah, sure.
Like,
I feel like more of my stories about inappropriate things happening when I was much younger in wrestling. Exact same things were happening. It's just like I sort of went to, other people were told, just like the groping story.
Yeah.
Nothing really happened.
Yeah.
It was sort of like,
Yeah,
and
like,
sort of gets
okay,
passed
that happened.
off.
Yeah.
Exactly the same. I would go to someone and tell them what happened, and then it was sort of like, this is where it changed. We had our festival show, and we're like, there is a guy who's involved in wrestling from overseas. I'm going to go be like, and everyone's like, let's get him involved on the show. I'm like, yeah, cool, I'll go ask, because like I have balls. So I'm like, I took a couple of guys with me, and I'm like, I'll go ask. I'm like, hey man, you know, like we've asked the guy who's running the whole event, do you want to come and, you know, make an appearance like as a manager? something. He's like, oh yeah, he's like, that sounds cool, blah, blah. Oh, and then, afterwards, you can maybe suck my dick and blah, blah, blah. Like, it's an actual thing. He's asking me to suck his dick if he'll come and do the show. And I'm like, this is an exchange of, I was so stunned by this.
This wasn't even that, it was a while ago now, but this is only 8 years ago.
Yeah, and I was stunned by him saying that there was going to be sexual favors for him actually performing.
That was an actual payment.
Yes, for what was happening. And then he had walked off, and I was so stunned. I didn't have time to be like, no, this is not happening.
Excuse me, no, yeah.
And so, as I'm stunned, I walk back to the locker room, and I'm like, can you all believe what just happened? And everyone's like, what? And so I'm like, but I was so stunned, I didn't have a chance to tell him no.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting in the locker room, and then about half an hour or so later, when he comes for this spot, he walks into the locker room and he's like, hey guys, I'm ready to go. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, no. And everyone's looking, and he walks up to the back of the locker room with me, and I'm like, your services are no longer needed. And he's like, what? I'm like, your services are no longer needed. And everyone's staring at him, he's like, okay. And just backs away, because everyone's just like, this is the most awkward moment we've all been involved in. And no one else, everyone just sat there and stared. No one said anything. Why is this okay in wrestling?
Yeah, no. I think, I'm pretty sure I was there that day. Yeah. It was a boys' club, and the boys' club was so strong for so many years that, no one would ever turn on their brother. And I think my generation and the generations below me have been so grateful to have you and as someone that was able to stand up for yourself and then help us stand up for ourselves and stand up and have you stand up for us as well. Anything that is remotely slightly inappropriate in any way happens now, it gets before it could even be a thing, it's done.
It's nipped in the bud.
It's done.
Yeah,
it's not
and
happening.
and the thing is as well, now we actually have guys who will also stand up.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's they realize as well is this is not okay anymore. Yeah. This sort of thing is not okay. We have so many more guys who will just stand up and help out the women.
Yeah,
and that just
they're not just gonna laugh
I'm sorry,
at it.
but for me that just didn't happen.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Exactly.
Previously.
Yeah, no, it definitely didn't.
I think we inspire each other.
Yeah. Just coming into training, going to shows, and just seeing people improve on themselves and everyone motivating each other, it's just so good.
Also just showing everyone that Australia has wrestling and we are really, really good at wrestling, which I think is catching on right now, obviously, but we still have a lot more work to do.
From where we've been, we've had to advocate for ourselves. But when the men have also advocated for us, it has changed.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot more. And then the other guys see, those guys would be like, you know what? Yeah, they are right.
They are right.
Yeah.
Then,
let's give them a
really
chance.
Helps.
Yeah.
It's just getting this family, and it's so motivating and inspiring, and it makes me so happy.
Other people achieving is an achievement. I prefer so much other people getting to where they want to be. When you're happy, when you and everyone at training and everyone at PWA is happy, that makes me happy.
Yeah.
I think we all need that, to get through such an industry that's so harsh, especially for the girls. It's so hard to get through it sometimes.
We can be hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm just in wrestling for the fun. It's the love of my life. It's what I love to do. So I'm just gonna see where it takes me, and hopefully it takes me somewhere big, so I can show the world what I can do.
The most rewarding thing in wrestling is when you have young fans look up to you. I think that that brings you back to why you're doing everything. You walk into the room and their face completely lights up, and you are the coolest thing that they've ever seen. That is a feeling you cannot even describe.
Coming backstage, hugging everyone after your match that you've just wrestled, that relief of we didn't fuck up.
Yeah. I think for me, it's just general fans that come up to me and you can see how happy they are.
And you're just
yeah, they were just they were so entertained and they loved it, and it's just made them feel something. And they're thanking you, but you just want to be no, thank you for just enjoying it, because that's really why I'm doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think
Fight Like Girls a very empowering quote, because it brings up all the experiences that we go through, all the shit things we have to go through, because girls have to fight emotionally and just physically in this industry especially. Yeah, girls have it tough and we have to be tough.
Girls bring something different to like everything, but wrestling, guys can't bring like that emotion. And we're gonna try and use that to our advantage.